Hey guys, in this video we are going to create a simple JavaScript project. So in this project we are going to implement this feature. So if we type in a question in the input box, it will show this answer. It looks like um, a typing effect. So we are going to learn on how we can implement this feature to our project. So first thing we need to do is we'll create a project file inside our folder. So here's my folder, and I created this index.html. So if I'm going to refresh, so the first thing we need to do is we need to have this text box. So let's just add code input. It's a text. Let's add an ID of query input, and then here let's add a placeholder. Enter your question, refresh. So now we need to add a container so we can make this one centered. So ID of container, then here we can have refresh. Then let's open our console so we can easily add style to this. So the container, we can have a max with 500 px, width set to 100%, and then set the margin to 0 auto, so it will be centered. And then here we can also, or let's make sure that this input will take the entire space. So 100%, let's set the height to 25 px, or this one. So here should be better or larger, and then here let's try to make this one larger. Then here we can have border ranges 5 px. So here we can actually check can add the shadow effect, but for now just update the color of the border. 1 px solid green. So instead of green it will be this one. Then here the font size, let's add it indentation 5 px. Then of course we need a button. So before we do that, let's try to create our style.css. Then here we can add inside, or let's link the style.css, the name of the file that we just created. And then here we can then grab the styles. Use this selector, the query ID, and then the container, Now if we refresh, as you can see, we have the style reflected or reflecting in our pages. So now next thing we can do is add a button. So here we have the button, enter, let's say it's an icon, but for now in our project let's add a button, enter, fresh. Then here we can remove this one, not remove but add a style. So font size, set the border for now to none, add a padding of 20 px, then px 20, then add the border ranges of 5 px. So let's set the background to Daohan, and then set the color to FFF or white. This one will just add a cursor. So once we hover into the button, it will create this or change the cursor type or the pointer type to cursor. The background, let's change it to that one. Then let's copy. Before that, we'll add an ID to this button, and then here can do copy paste it, refresh. As you can see here, the enter, will just move it inside or inside the text box. So what we're going to do is going to copy, add the container, position relative, then here the IDBTN, position absolute, and then we can now add right 0, position right. So it should place the enter here, and then on the top set to 0. So as you can see, it is now inside the text box, but let's add by px, I guess. So here, as you can see, we have now the text box, and then also we have now the enter btn. So what we're going to do is we need to add an event to our enter button. So here you can do wrap them inside our script tag, then document, add event on click, let's refresh. As you can see, we have this click. Now we'll just need to make sure we trigger this only to our button. So if e.target.id equals btn, then we'll log. So as you can see, if I click anywhere, it won't log or trigger this line, but if I click on the enter, you can see it is showing that. So now once we click, we'll just get input text. So let value or question, I guess, get element by ID and then value. So let question. So if we refresh, enter, it's empty. And then now we can then add additional if question that land, that means there is question or it's not empty, it will trigger or show the question here. If we enter, as you can see, it fetches this data. So what name, enter. So now once we have that, we can then generate response. So the next thing we need to do is we need to create this typing effect. So in order to do that, we need to add a answer container. So let's add an HR, so break, and then here we can do add ID answer, and then going to do is going to, so for now let's add an answer, and then let's just grab this one, just an example, and then here we can then call generate answer function. So we're going to create that function and then the answer. So here we need to have a generate answer function. So console.log answer, and then here we can do else generate answer again, and then we can have no answer, or maybe I cannot understand your question. And actually we can use a single code for that, and then here we can have an answer variable and set the default to this. Now if there's a length, or if there's a question that length, you can then use or remove this one. So if there is a question or the text is not empty, then we'll set the answer variable to this, and then this will generate the answer. So this generate answer, we don't need this response or function. We can just use or code it here. Just create a variable, a counter for a variable. So here let's create our var I0. So we have the answer, then the speed of our typing is 200 milliseconds. So now what we are going to do is move this on our tab, then here set initially the iterator to 0. So basically the typing effect is looping each of this character and displaying it in our page. So now we can use or create a function which basically typing. So here we need to get the element of the answer, text content or answer L, which will be the document, and by ID the answer element, this one, Then inside we're going to add the answer L that inner HTML plus equals the answer variable. So let's make this one a global variable. Then here answer, and then the I or the current content of the I. So we need to loop the I. So here we need to increment the I, and then here let's add an I plus plus, and then set timeout. So we'll just use the same function until we are at the end of the answer. So the set timeout will have the typing function in our first parameter, and then here the speed, which is this one, and then here it should stop our code. It will run this code if our current I is less than the length of the answer. So answer length, remove this one, then here answer length will be answer that length. So now if we refresh, enter, let's call the typing function, refresh. As you can see, we have now this effect. So let's make this one faster. As you can see here, it's now typing. However, we need to add more in our code. So let's add a cursor effect on that. So here inside this typing, we can add another set timeout. So let's make this one faster. So let's set it to here we can add this one to 50, then this one set to 150. Here we have an error, undefined. We'll fix that one later, but just put them inside the if statement. Then here inner HTML, let's add this parameter. So actually we'll have to add that one inside this, and then here we'll need to remove this so it won't add this element to each of the letters. So here we can just answer len or answer il that inner HTML. We'll set that one to so just grab this code. Basically this will remove this value. So answer element that inner HTML substring function, and then here we can just use this one, and this will remove this parameter or text. So if we refresh, as you can see, we have the typing effect. And good thing is we can add planning to add that one, but I think this is good for now. Let's just set font size to 10 px, make it line height then here we'll have the background green, padding of 20 px, border 10 px, border radius. Background, let's set it to this color, but lighter. So now I'm going to grab this, then in our style.css, inside the answer, fresh. As you can see, it is already shown, but we don't want that one. Going to set the style. So here we'll just set the style, or in our here display name, and then once we have the answer then you can just show it here. So style it's like a blocks for fresh. So now let's type in a question, sample question. If we enter, so as you can see, we have a typing effect added to our answer or the text.